Pasadena, California, January 2016. On the campus of the California Institute of Technology, a group of experts led by astronomer Mike Brown is puzzling over some strange data from outer space that they can't explain.
A few years ago, a colleague of mine and I, Konstantin Batygin, he and I were looking at the orbits of the most distant objects in our solar system. This vast collection of objects is very much like the asteroid belt, but just an icier version further away. They're out in the same region where Pluto is, well past Neptune. And we realized that the ones that go the furthest away from the sun all have their orbits pointing off in one direction. These guys all go off far away, and it shouldn't be that way. Unless there's something pulling them with gravity, it shouldn't happen. So Konstantin and I tried to figure out what was going on, and we made jokes to each other that, like, well, it could be a planet, but that's dumb. We know it's not a planet because we know there are no other planets in our solar system.
The idea that there's an undiscovered planet in our solar system that could potentially be a place where life is formed sounds too incredible to believe. But on the other hand, Mike Brown still couldn't figure out why objects in space were being pulled in a strange direction.
We spent about 2 years trying to figure out what else could be causing these things to be pulled off in this direction. We couldn't figure out what it could be. We realized, actually, this planet just is the only thing that actually makes sense. We started doing calculations, simulations. We realized, actually, if you put a planet out here that's pulling these things away, it not only explains these objects, but it explains half a dozen other things that have been happening in the solar system. So I'm really quite convinced that there is a giant planet still to be found out there at the edge of the solar system.
In February of 2019, Mike and his colleagues published a groundbreaking paper in which they proposed that there could be an unseen planet hiding in our solar system, which they have dubbed Planet 9. Their intriguing theory made headlines because for hundreds of years, humanity has believed that there were only 8 planets in the solar system, not including Pluto, which is considered a smaller dwarf planet. So how could there be an undiscovered planet in our corner of the universe that we're only now finding out about?
Right now, we think, based on our computer simulations, that Planet 9 is about 7 times more massive than the Earth. And it's 600 times further than the Earth is from the sun. And so it's way out there.
Planet 9, if it exists, it's so far away out there in the deep, deep dark that it's just very difficult to detect. You are so far out in the solar system when you get to these kinds of distances that the sun is barely distinguishable. There's just not a lot of light out there. But really, it's exciting because even though we can't see the planet, it's just almost impossible not to wonder what is happening out there.
If scientists are able to prove that there is, in fact, a planet hiding in the darkness of our solar system, it would raise an even more pressing question. Could there actually be life on this mystery planet?
Planet 9 is a really important place to look for life. Right now, scientists are very strongly focused on figuring out whether there's just single-celled microbial life on Planet 9.
Here is the interesting thing about Planet 9 when it comes to life. It's possible that if Planet 9 exists, that it was much closer to in the solar system earlier on. And if it had a rocky surface, and if it was in the places where liquid water could exist, then maybe it did form microbial life. And then maybe somehow it got kicked out farther out from there.
One of the things that we don't know about Planet 9 is why do we have this planet so far away? I think the most likely hypothesis is that as it was going around the sun, it got too close. And as you get too close, you get basically a gravitational slingshot, and you go whizzing out to the outer part of the solar system. And it's been out there basically lurking around, waiting for us to find it ever since then.